Good evening. Once again, you're welcome. This is The Link. My name is Malcolm Sime, sitting in for Sam. And as I told you earlier, this evening we host the Executive Director of the Uganda Bureau of Standards, the Standards Agency, Dr. Ben Manyindo. You're very welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
And thank you for keeping us safe.
I'm trying my level best to keep you even safer.
Those of us who are still alive. Yeah, not to say someone has died. So let's dive into the program quickly. On the 1st of July, now we're in August, you put in place a new compulsory package of standards, and this is a new development.
Right.
But you know, viewers and those that use products, consumers of products in this market would want to know what that means.
What that means is that any product that has a compulsory standard, and by compulsory standards, I mean that that particular product affect our lives, affect our safety, affect the environment. And many of the products that are being produced in Uganda apparently fall in that category. If you look at most of the food products, they fall under that category. Electrical products fall under that category. Cosmetics and chemicals, farm implements, etc., fall in that. So the majority of the products being produced, the majority of the products being consumed actually fall under mandatory standards. And therefore, we are saying now that for you to manufacture and put those products on the market, you need to now have been certified by UNBS to ensure that the consumer is protected. And I must quickly say that for the last 3-4 years, we've been engaging the business community to have their products certified. But it was more of a voluntary scheme to help them access markets, both locally and regionally. So now we are changing our focus to the consumer, from the consumer perspective, to tell the manufacturers and the producers that if you want to be on the market, now you must have that certification. So effective of 1st July 2018, we got the regulation approved, and we are going to implement that. However, we know that in this country it takes time for people to transit from what they have been doing to what they should be doing. So we are giving a transition of about 6 months, under which we expect full compliance after that. In the meantime, there are a number of strategies and programs that were put in place to ensure that we get that buy-in by the manufacturers.
Full compliance meaning people should, quickly come to the Ghana National Bureau of Standards, get certification, etc., so they can fall within the compliance of standards. But now, when you talk of compulsory standards, there are those that are, for instance, voluntary standards? I don't understand.
Actually, standards are supposed to be voluntary in nature. They only become compulsory when they affect the 3 areas that I've talked about. If the product affects our health, our safety, and the environment. And of recent also they have added a 4th one. If a product is massively consumed, then we are looking at value for money. So that also now is coming on board as the 4th area. But as I've said, most of the products that we are producing fall in that group. If, for example, voluntary standard, if, for example, you want to, say, buy a bicycle, or you want to buy a stool, there is very little of the 3 that I've talked about. But it is important that we also have a standard, because if I'm going to order 1,000 stools or 1,000 bicycles, I need consistency in production and quality. And therefore a standard comes to fill that gap. So, but then it is now a voluntary standard which you can meet because there is a market, or you may not be able to meet it if there is no market.
But you see, it's good. You also talked about the society that we live in. I mean, there are very many people there who are into production of different manufacturing of different products, processing food, etc. In their homes, in their garages,
it's
everywhere. That brought them on the market.
Yes.
You know that they really sometimes they do not even know how to get these standards, how to get a Q mark, how to go about it. Just basic in 3 lines, maybe you could tell us what do I need to do if I'm...
I think my message to those is that if you want to put any product on the market, and that means you are making something, you want to make a little bit of money, and you want to sell that product on the market, the most important thing that you need to do is to register with the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. That is point number 1. Now, when you register with us, that means you are telling us who you are, what you want to do, where you want to operate from, and the size of your enterprise, etc., etc. Then the staff of UNBS will be able to guide you, even to tell you whether actually you fit in the mandatory certification or you don't. So that's the first thing. And for us to be reached, because that's also another issue, for us to be reached, what we are doing right now is we are leveraging on the ICT platforms such as social media and others, but also physically we are decentralizing. We are decentralizing to Gulu, so people from the north can go to our Gulu office. We are going to Mbale for the eastern side and Imbarara for the western side, but we still have that central place here at Wayogere where you can reach us. Then we take you through the stages and steps. We have to prioritize. We can't do everything.
You can't do everything.
We can't do everything because our resources are limited.
And we'll come to that, the issue of resources being limited. It's been a story from at Uganda National Bureau of Standards from the time I met you about 5 years ago. You've been saying that. Yes. But we'll come to that. But then some would say, what's the point of getting certification if there remains others in the market who do not adhere to standards or do not even meet the standards?
That's a big challenge. But the incentive is that sooner or later, when we begin enforcing the standards, when we begin market surveillance after this transitional period, then we shall be able to ensure that this distortion from those who are not complying is minimized. But most important, I think the most important message here is not compliance, but be mindful of the consumer, the other side, that what you are producing surely should be safe. What you are producing should be of good quality so that actually doesn't harm others.
Do Ugandans really care about other people's health? I don't understand. But anyway, that will come with enforcement. Let's now go to the issue of, you know, I call it, I want to call it a song. I'm really very sorry, but since I started meeting you about 4 years ago, 5 or so, Uganda National Bureau of Standards have been complaining about lack of funds, you know, lack of enough laws to, you know, sort of get out there and apprehend people who do not, you know, adhere to standards. It's good that now you have the standard, the regulation, so you'll go out. But now to the issue of funding. Why don't you protest? I mean, this is a very key agency in government. Who doesn't see, even government officials, those who make laws, they consume these products. I find them in markets, supermarkets.
Exactly.
But they,
we don't need to protest.
Why don't they capitalize Uganda National Bureau of Standards?
Well, that is a question we have all been asking, but we haven't got the answers yet. But I must say that there is the goodwill. It is just that the resources are not sufficient to go around. Because, for example, very soon we are going to another budgeting cycle. And during that budgeting cycle, we engage in the sector, we engage the MPs. If you see the recommendations of members of parliament as far as Uganda National Bureau of Standards, for example, this current year, we had wanted only 100 technical staff. They recommended that we get that. But eventually the resources were not enough and we couldn't get. So we continue engaging because the work that we do, they realize it is important. It's just that now the envelope is still small for UNBS to be accommodated.
How long does it take really to, I mean...
I wouldn't know how long
does it take this government, but these products people are consuming, maybe some of them are not safe and they're really harmful. And maybe the problem we see cancers on the market.
It is not really that, that things are not up to standard, but really the consequences of having substandard goods in terms of the economy, in terms of the health of the people, is very, very high.
Okay, so lastly, let's talk about the cost of getting certification, because I mean, if you go downtown, or people who are actually involved in these businesses who are producing small products here and there, we will tell you that the first excuse here, we don't have money for doing this. What is the cost? Has it been coming down? Has it been going up?
Well, unfortunately, the cost would be going, because the biggest component of certification is the laboratory testing, where we have to buy reagents, we have to buy equipment, and most of that equipment is very expensive. But having said that, we are actually trying to find a mechanism of reducing. Right now, the average cost of certification is about 3 million shillings. Now, for micro and small enterprises whose capital is 500,000 or even less, that is prohibitive. So we are trying to bring that down so that can come to about 500 or around there, so that they can be accommodated. But also we are trying to appeal to other partners in the government to ensure that they put in some money in order for these people to do the right thing, because eventually they will be able to pay tax, they will be able to create jobs, and the little money that they will have put in will be returned.
We actually ran out of time, but just before you go, I just want to ask you a personal question.
Personal.
Do you go shopping?
Shopping?
Where do you go shopping?
Once in a while I go shopping.
Do you touch these products?
Not really shopping. I want to see what exactly is on the market.
Do you go to the supermarket? Do you go touch these products on the shelf? Do you check and see what?
I don't normally buy, but I go checking. I check them. In the
and what do you see?
I see most of them are not certified.
What do you do? Do you go to the counter and say, please take these off?
No, we engage. Now we engage with the people who are not certified.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Ben Manyondo. We really wanted to have this conversation more and more. He's the Executive Director of the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. Very, very informative information you got there. So go certify your products and make sure that everyone is safe. That was the link.
Newsbite is brought to you by
Safe Drive Uganda, improving road safety.